Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing 4 Gardens from Arcana Wonders. 4 Gardens is going to be a 2 to 4 player game that plays in roughly 30 to 45 minutes, a little bit on the lighter side, and it's going to be a game that's about creating panoramas. You're going to be creating these beautiful panoramas in this game, and on your turn you're going to be taking 3 actions on your turn from one of 4 possible actions. You can either lay a card down as groundwork, you can discard a card to go ahead and rotate the tower and take resources, you can discard a card that has the reallocation symbol in order to go ahead and reallocate resources from your supply to your various cards, or from your cards to your cards, or finally you can discard a card to go ahead and grab one resource, either adding it to supply or onto a card. Those are going to be the 4 actions you can take, and I'm going to go ahead and take a turn so you can get an idea of why you're doing those things. To begin with, I'm going to go ahead and play down these 2 cards over here, trying to go ahead and build those. We're going to go through a few steps, playing it sort of solo, just so you get an idea of the game flow. Now from there, I'm going to take, for my 3rd action, I'm going to go ahead and take a rotate tower action. Now I'm going to want as much water and stone as possible, and to that end, I can see over here that the stone is not really helping me out, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate the tower like so, using this card over here. So I'm going to rotate the tower, I'm going to rotate the 2nd from the top, that's what you can see over here, and then I'm going to collect resources from the bottom upwards. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate like so, which also rotates the piece above it. In general, whenever you rotate, you're always rotating the thing above it. From there, I'm going to take the resources on the side shown, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm taking, just so you have an idea. I'm going to be taking 2 wood, putting them into my supply, then I'm going to be taking 1 water and 1 stone. Now, because I'm collecting from the bottom up, and because I only have 4 spots, that means I'm not actually going to take the last stone, or any of the plants over there. That's going to stop me from taking those. I'm limited to what my supply can hold. Then I'm going to draw up my cards. This card's going to go away to the discard pile. I'm going to draw up cards, and I'm going to draw these 2 cards, because I'm trying to complete this blue panorama. And as you can see over here, we have 1, 2, we're missing 3, we have 4 and 5. So I'm trying to build that blue panorama, which means I'm going to want 1 of every card in the sequence. I'm going to go ahead and take a 3rd card. Let's go ahead and put these cards out. And then we don't yet have the other blue. I will go ahead and gather, you know what, I could probably use a pure flexibility from rotating the tower from the bottom up, so I'm going to take that as well, and then we're going to go ahead and take another turn. Another player in the meantime would be going. Let's pretend the other player goes ahead and rotates the tower like so, taking their own resource, because they are going to be messing with the tower in their turn, and then I'm going to go ahead and take another turn. I'm still trying to collect these resources over here, but I'm going to have to take a cart action to actually get those onto my pieces. Sadly, I have 2 wood, which is going to make things a bit complicated, so in order to avoid that, I'm first going to go ahead and play this card so I can utilize up that wood. So my first action is playing this. My second action is going to go ahead and discard this card over here to go ahead and reallocate resources around. I'm going to take this, put it over here, this one over here, add this one over here, and this one over here. So we're starting to slot those cards up. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead, and I think I want to finish this card. So I'm going to discard this card to add a wild resource directly onto that card, and that's going to be like so. And now I've completed a panorama. When you complete a panorama, you're going to go ahead and discard the resources, you're going to flip it, and you're going to advance your marker by whatever numbers are shown over there, well, by the color shown over there. So because I'm playing as black, I'm going to advance my token to 4, which is going to help me get points at the end of the game. The other player is going to go ahead on their turn, they're going to go ahead and take a rotate tower action that way, again, messing with the tower alignment for my turn. I'm going to go ahead, at the end of my turn, I forgot, I'm going to draw, I found the 3 one for my blue set. That's going to be helpful over there. And then I think I want another wild for that flexibility, and I want another tower rotation from top down. That might be helpful. Okay, great. So I'm going to take that. Then it's my turn again. I do still want to get water. Water is going to be tricky because I'm taking from this side over here, which is unfortunate. None of these cards are that great for that situation. I may be stuck without some water, but I'm going to go ahead and start with this one over here, which is going to allow me to rotate in either direction from the top down and take top down. So I'm going to take 2 plants and 2 stone over there. I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 plants, the 2 stone. In general, when you do a reallocation of resources, that's when you have a chance to discard resources, which is never fun, but sometimes essential. From there, I'm going to go ahead, and for my second action, I'm going to go ahead and play this card over here, another wild over here. We're going to move this play off to the side so you can see what's going on. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another reallocation of resources, this time with, I need that card, this time with this card over here, I think. Nope, this card over here. I'm going to discard that card. We discarded this one. We should probably be flipping those cards over as we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and allocate these resources accordingly, going 1, 2, 3, and 4, putting those all out on the cards. From there, and finally, I'm going to go ahead and then finish this card off over here, and this is the fun part. This is the part where you get to do a lot of tableau building. These cards will move off to the side. I'm going to flip this, put this on complete, adding to my panorama. You can complete your panorama in any order. They will make a beautiful design when done, but more importantly, I'm going to go ahead and move this up accordingly. I'm going to move both the symbol I just did as well as the prior symbol, so you can get a bit of a magnification of whatever you did is going to get progressively more powerful. That first card you build in a 5-card panorama is going to pay off dividends 5 times. For the sake of just showing you what these look like, I'm going to go ahead and then move to showing you just what this panorama would look like, because they do create beautiful panoramas as you're finished designing them, or really just building the cards and the resources. And there we go. That's going to be a 5-card panorama. Now keep in mind, the panoramas, if you notice, they range from 2 to 5. They're going to have different lengths of panorama. Now that 5 is going to pay off multiple times in this game, because each single one is going to re-trigger when you build further out on the panorama. The benefit of the 2 is when you complete a full panorama, whether it's 2 or whether it's 5 cards, you're going to go ahead and take a bonus tile. You can take one of these bonus tiles, which lets you hold extra resources, which can be very useful as you take resources over here. You have this one over here, which is going to give you a variable number of just immediately putting things down on cards, potentially allowing you to create and complete more cards as you go. Or finally over here, there's just more points. Lastly, the game end is going to be triggered at a variable number of cards, either 8, 9, or 10 cards, depending on the player count. A 2-player game means once you've built 10 cards, you're going to trigger a game end, whether or not they are complete panoramas. And on this track over here, you're going to be getting points for where your tokens line up. But an important part to note is that as you move up further in this track, if you're ever at the highest spot and you keep going, all other players are going to move back on that track. And more importantly, if you do it again, they're going to move off on the track. And if they are off on the track, they can no longer score for that color. It's a permanent locking people out of the game. That is effectively the gameplay of Four Gardens. It's a game about taking 3 actions on your turn. Actions are all about gathering resources to put on cards, to complete your panoramas, to get those benefits, whether one-time tokens you can utilize to build up your tableau, or alternatively to continuously trigger various icons on your panoramas to be able to move higher and higher up these tracks. As far as what I like about the game, to begin with, the game is visually delightful. The artwork is simple and clean and beautiful if you're doing the panoramas. The tower has a table presence that is beautiful to look at. The game is simple and easy to teach. It's simple and easy to play. It plays quickly as well. A 2-player game of this you can knock out in around half an hour. It is solid, easy, and there's strategic depth in the game as well. Choosing which ones you want to go with, which actions you're going to take. It's all about those small efficiencies in this game, because you will find yourself often needing to waste resources in this game, taking resources based on the tower alignment that you may not 100% want to take, and then having to choose between playing down additional cards to use those resources, which might seem like the most efficient option, but sometimes it's faster to just complete certain panoramas to build up your tableau. So there's a lot of choosing in this game of how to take small little efficiencies in terms of building out those cards. Going up on these tracks is going to additionally have choice as far as going up on the tracks versus knocking people off the tracks versus completing large panoramas that will reward you with points every single time. You'll be able to trigger that wild symbol 5 times if that's the first card you build in your panorama. Versus if you build a small panorama, you'll start the game, 2-3 turns in, you could already be collecting 5 resources instead of 4, which is another form of tableau building. So the game is giving you different choices in terms of how you build out your tableau, how you actually scale in this game. The balance of the small versus large, the bonus tiles, lots of fun small little choices to be made. As far as things I don't like about this game, it's going to come down to the tower. The tower, which I think is a beautiful table presence, but I think it comes at the cost of the gameplay in 2 different ways. To begin with, because of the nature of the tower, you're always taking with whatever aligns with what you're facing. And to that end, that means at any given table, most of the time, you can't really easily see what's going on. You're often going like this or like this before you rotate. Sure, you can try to count, it's 1, 2, 3, 0, but you're not going to have that immediate intuition as far as how the tower rotates. You and the other players at this table will constantly be doing this the entire game turn. I guarantee you, to play this game, that's what's going to be happening. But then additionally, and far worse than that, is going to be the fact that because players are often rotating the towers, it's the most common way to get a chunk of resources, and so it is a frequent action. It often means there is no point planning your turn until it's your turn, unless you're not actually taking anything from the tower this turn. Then you can plan away. If you're taking from the tower, then you can't really plan out your turn until it is your turn. You cannot sit there and be like, well, on my turn, I'm going to go ahead and rotate the tower and take 2, then I'll play this to rearrange, and then I'll play this down as groundwork. You can't do that in this game because you don't know which resources you're going to get, because that plan of you need to get 3 rock over there, well, if somebody goes like this, you can't get 3 rock. You can't turn it back to you to get what you need in this game, which reduces. The game time is fairly simple and fast, don't get me wrong. It's a 30 to 45 minute game, but it could be giving you that same exact game experience in take off 5-10 minutes off that gameplay, just because you literally cannot plan your turn until it's your turn because of the rotating tower. It's a beautiful little gimmick, but it's a gimmick that comes at the cost of the gameplay, in my opinion. And as far as what I can see others not liking, there's really going to be two things. To begin with, this is a game that will play best at 2 players, which is not a problem. I love 2-player games and they have a spot in my collection, but it's a game where every additional player is going to add downtime to the game, and it's going to even further remove from any possibility whatsoever of planning around this tower. This is a game that's going to be best played at 2, which might be a factor as far as whether you're picking it up for yourself. I think it's still enjoyable at 3. I do not think I'd want to play it at 4 again. That's just an unnecessary amount of downtime and not a rewarding enough experience. But additionally, this game can be mean. It's worth noting that as well. This is a game where you can push up on the track, and I'd argue it is strategically beneficial early game to try to push up certain colors just so you can knock other people off the track, force them into a game of playing catch-up because they will want to score points. They will not want to have a dead color in the tableau, and so playing efficiently often does mean focusing on a single color just to put other people on the defensive and possibly have the tokens removed, which may or may not be something that you are looking for in an otherwise fairly light, cute, visually appealing game. As far as my final thoughts on Four Gardens, I really think this is an excellent game in terms of the weight, the teach, the accessibility. All those things are excellent. If not for my issues with the tower, this would be a 4 to 5, but it is not a 4 to 5. It is a 3 out of 5 for me. My rating scale, for context, is 1s are bad games, 2s are games that are not for me for one reason or another. I'd rather not play them again. 3s are good games, 4s are great games, and 5s are going to be the best games in my collection. As far as this goes, I really think this was a solid game engine going on, but this tower, the fact that it is hard to see what's going on, this gimmick, beautiful gimmick, but the fact that it's hard to see what's going on around the table, and the fact that it means you cannot plan your turn until it's your turn, it takes away from my experience when playing Four Gardens. An enjoyable game to be sure, an enjoyable little puzzle, but one with a tower that I didn't appreciate, I think, as much as you were intended to appreciate. I am Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you find it helpful in deciding what games to get or not to get. And until next time, have a good one.